those of this station.
AMP2.TV presents Tell Us Your Business, where you're invited on the air to tell us what makes your business stand out in the community. It's important we hear from you to tell us all we need to know about what you do best. Tell Us Your Business uses the latest radio and television production systems, and all shows can be seen on AMP2.TV. If you have a question for our guest, call 888-565-1470. Now, let's get ready as our guest hits the airwaves and informs us about what we need to know on Tell Us Your Business.
Happy Tuesday, everyone. Welcome to Tell Us Your Biz and Brooklyn Cafe Show After Hours. I got Freddie over here on my left, as always, setting up our boards, running old school on production.
I'm somewhere.
You're somewhere in time. You can hear us live on WWNN 95.3 FM, 96.9 FM, 1470 AM, and on your iHeartRadio app. Just check AM 1470, and you can hear us anywhere that you can find your iHeartRadio app. You can also find us streaming all over social media. Welcome to Tell Us Your Biz. How you doing over there, my friend?
I'm doing well. Now, we have two guests tonight
Okay, let's roll it.
that we are going to hopefully get a phone call because there's an event on Saturday.
It is a COVID concert. Now, it's a concert to raise money and awareness for the arts, for those performers that have lost their jobs or not gotten gigs because of the COVID precautions and how things have slowed down in the industry. So it's to raise money and awareness for that. So we'll see if she's calling in.
I see if she's calling in. So we may have to segment this because she's never done this before. So I don't know what time she's calling in. She should have called in by now. But, so do you want to flip to your segment first and then come back?
Yes, I'm really excited to have this segment on radio, actually, because I got the pleasure of interviewing Dr. Deborah Matthew last week. She's located in North Carolina. We are here, but it was such a great segment. The beauty of technology and what we've learned through COVID and technology is that we can interview anyone from around the world. Now, you got a little bit funky last week on the interview.
No. Don't start with the funky.
But it's okay because Dr. Deborah Matthew, we're going to bring her over. She is a pediatrician by original education, classically trained pediatrician. And then she went back and decided, I really want to help women and men with hormones and anti-aging, and got her certification in anti-aging medicine. So we're going to bring her over because she's got some great books talking about hormones for men and women and anti-aging ideas. So welcome, Dr. Matthew.
Hey, it's so great to be back talking to you again.
Thank you so much for joining us. How are you feeling?
I'm doing pretty good, thanks.
So after hours is always a great time to get her because otherwise during the day, she's running between patients and everything in her office. So this is fantastic. Let's tell everyone what you do with anti-aging and how that all came to be from pediatrics to the anti-aging world.
Yeah, I went through a period in my life when I did not feel good. I was exhausted all the time. Like, my favorite thing to do was take a nap. And I was freezing cold. I used to bring a sweater everywhere, even in North Carolina in the summer. And the refrigeration sections at the grocery store were just the worst, and air-conditioned movie theaters and restaurants. And thank goodness back then, you know how Costco's refrigeration rooms and you have to go in to get your produce? I would have never made it alive. I would have perished on the floor from hypothermia. You'd have had to step over my ice cube body. So I was exhausted. I was cold. I was irritable. I was screaming at my kids. Then I felt so guilty because I felt like a terrible mom. And my poor husband had to put up with my Wicked Witch of the West impersonation. He didn't know what the heck to do with me. And this went on for a long time because there was nothing in my medical training that helped me understand what was happening to me. I wasn't sick, but
How old were you about?
I was in my late 30s.
Wow, okay.
When you're in your late 30s, you're not thinking about hormones. Like, menopause is way off in the distance.
Wow.
But that's what was happening to me as my hormones were shifting. I also had hypothyroidism, and I knew that. I was on hypothyroid medication. I'd been on it for 10 years. What I didn't know is my thyroid medicine wasn't working for me. It was making my lab tests look normal, but it sure wasn't making me feel normal. And what really changed for me is I read a book written by Suzanne Somers. And I've pushed back about reading this book because medical doctors, we don't want to get our information from celebrities, and especially like Chrissy Snow, right? I mean, Suzanne Summers was
What was
at
it called? The
Ditsy
Thigh
Blonde.
Master? Remember that?
That's not medical information that I was interested in. However, I do have to tell you that when I read that book, and I read about all the stories about the women who were feeling just like I was, and then the stories about how much better they felt when they got their hormones in balance, all of a sudden my mind opened and I realized there was so much more that they didn't teach me in medical school. And so I retired from what I was doing back and I completely retrained because I found there's all these places I can go, that there's real medical science behind this. It's not woo-woo medicine. And I got my hormones back in balance, my thyroid back in balance. So I got my energy back. My kids got their mom back. My husband got his wife back. I got my life back.
You got your life
But then
back, right?
I couldn't go back to just writing prescriptions all day long because it didn't make sense anymore. So now I work with women and with men to help them get back to feeling like themselves again, get their libido back, lose the weight, get their mood going again, because I believe that we all deserve to love the way we feel.
Now, I got the opportunity, which was amazing, to read this book. This is Not Normal, and this is the book for women. Now, you also, and Freddie loves the title of the men's book, I Can't Keep Up. And I always say, he says it's something else. He says, I can't keep it up. And I said, no, it's not the power of the it. It's I can't keep up, and then there's a battery. So we've been going back and forth with this. But men don't realize, I mean, we have, as women, we've got this camaraderie in this cohort. In your late 30s, I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism in my late 30s also. Never thought about anything else. It was just this exhaustion and this lack of memory and all of this. They kept saying you're aging. I'm like, I'm 39 years old. What do you mean I'm aging? And the endocrinologist said, this is what life is going to be like. I said, excuse me? I'm 38, 39 years old. He says, yeah, this is just what it is. But you have to know your body, and you have to either accept it or not and really fight and be your best advocate. And in this book, it is so easy to be your own advocate. I want people to know that they can call us at the radio station. You can talk to Dr. Matthew right here live, 888-565-1470. You can also find this book on Amazon. You can find this book on her website, and you have a free downloadable version on your website. What is
That's
your
right.
website?
You can actually,
so people can look right now and find it.
yeah. So signaturewellness.org is the website with lots of information. And if you want to go straight to the book, it's at isityourhormones.com. Isityourhormones.com.
And what I love about this book is it's easy. There's a little vignette, and it talks about women getting together, feeling like A or B or C. I'm either tired, or I'm overweight, or I feel funny, or I cry. And then you've got all these checklists of things.
Yeah, because I think that's a really important message that I want to get across to women is what you said, that we have to be our own advocate. Because if you march into the doctor's office and you list off a few symptoms, you're tired, you're not sleeping, you're irritable, and yelling at your kids, you're going to end up handed a prescription for a sleeping pill, for an antidepressant, because that's what we're trained to do at medical school, is try to figure out what prescription would be the best one to give you in the circumstance. But if the real problem is a hormone imbalance, that Prozac isn't going to fix the problem. So you need to know whether this could be it for you. So there's lots of checklists because there are symptom patterns that we can look at. And you can actually go through the list and you can predict which one of your hormones may be off. Is it a hormone problem at all? And that way you can go in more empowered. You know what questions to ask, and that can really help make it more likely that you get the answers that you need.
The other thing I found very interesting, and I really found this myself, is the gynecologists don't necessarily work with hormone replacement. And this was shocking to me. The endocrinologists don't. They work with either your diabetes or they work with your thyroid, and that's it. Your gynecologist may give you a generic prescription for progesterone, estrogen. They may give you a compound that is an overall compound, but they don't all sit and look at your individual labs. So I'm wondering, who do you go to that is actually going to look for men and women, that's going to do this breakdown, someone that that's reliable, that says, all right, you're low on this, you're good on this, you may need this. What type of physician would
Yeah.
you go to?
Well, you can always start with your regular family doctor and your gynecologist. Some are open minded and they've educated themselves. But unfortunately, that's not always the case. So a lot of women are told we don't check hormone levels, or you're too young to have a hormone problem, or a lot of times the doctors will agree to order some lab tests, but then the results come back and you're told everything is normal. But you know you don't feel normal. So the kind of doctor who would do a deeper dive for you is called a functional medicine doctor. And functional medicine doctors don't just treat diseases with drugs or don't just band-aid up symptoms with prescription medicines. What we do is we really look for the root cause of why you're not feeling your best. So for example, if you're feeling anxious, it could be an imbalance in estrogen and progesterone, the two hormones that affect our menstrual cycle. For men, low testosterone can cause anxiety. Problems with cortisol, that's one of our stress hormones, can cause anxiety. Or maybe it's a nutritional deficiency of some really important vitamins that our brain needs to function properly. Maybe there's too much inflammation in your body. Maybe there's problems with the kinds of bacteria that live in your gut, because those gut bacteria actually make a lot of the neurotransmitters, the brain chemicals that affect our mood. And that's why, when people are anxious, sometimes you get like a queasy, nauseous stomach, but it goes the other way too. Sometimes digestive problems can actually cause you to feel anxious. So we always want to look at the whole person instead of just focusing in on one problem. And we do a lot of that in medicine, right? You've got your gynecologist for your female parts and your dermatologist for your skin and the neurologist for your migraines. But a lot of times we need a bigger picture. So in the book, I have some websites where people can go for some resources for how could you find a doctor that looks at things in this way, because it's just a different approach to medicine.
And I love that you talk about stress and cortisol for men and women, and that your gut is really your first brain. And people say that, but it's actually really true of the gut bacteria and what you eat, how it affects your mood, your serotonin level, your fight or flight response. And it's not just as a health coach or a life coach, people say, but it is. Medically, this is really what you're seeing with hormones and what it's shared into your brain, the serotonin levels, the dopamine levels. Why is that?
Yeah, our body is such a complex system. And if all we did is focus in on one little part, we miss the complexity of how everything works together. So when I'm looking at somebody, we always look at 4 pillars. We are looking at toxins in the environment, because many of them are hormone disruptors. They kill off those good bacteria in your gut. They activate your immune system and trigger allergies and autoimmune conditions, for example. So we look at toxins. We look at gut health, because you need a healthy gut to have healthy hormones, healthy immune system, healthy brain. We look, of course, at hormone balance, because hormones are the chemical messengers that tell your cells what to do. And if you don't have the right hormones, your cells don't get the right instructions. And then the 4th pillar is lifestyle habits, because you need to feed your body the right nutrients so that you can make your hormones and have the healthy gut bugs. And you need to, minimize the impact of stress on your body by having healthy ways of coping with the stresses in your life. You need enough sleep. You need to drink enough water. All of those things are important. But, I got to tell you, a lot of the people who come to see me have decent lifestyle habits. Like, I think the people that have terrible lifestyle habits, they don't really want to hear what I have to say. They know they got some work to do to clean things up. So most of the people who come to see me, they're not the worst of the worst. They got pretty good lifestyle habits, but they still don't feel good. And the reality is that while lifestyle habits are really important, sometimes doing yoga and eating kale is just not enough to compensate for all those other things going on. So where we really get our best results is if we wrap our arms around the big picture and we address all of these factors together, because they all impact each other.
What I want to also talk about is men and their gut health, because as men age, they're more prone, I'm bringing you into the conversation over here, to carry it in their midsection. Women, sometimes we carry it more on our bottom and our thighs, and it's more distributed in our midsection. Men often just carry it right in the front. And when you're looking at the diameter, the circumference of a waist, right? You're talking about all those as your pre-comorbidities to different things. You work with men. Is that part of the cortisol? Is that part of stress, the whole lifestyle?
Yes. kind of all of the above. So stress causes cortisol to be released. That's the hormone that helps us cope with stress. And while that's a good thing in the short term, when we have stress day in and day out, like pandemics and job loss and, all the stuff that's going on right now, all that cortisol causes us to gain weight, especially around the midsection. And when you carry that weight on your belly, it's not just sitting there like extra weight. It's actually like a hormone factory. And it's releasing a lot of inflammatory chemicals into the bloodstream, which can increase your risk for things like heart disease in the future and other health problems. It also affects hormone levels like testosterone. So testosterone is the one that men need for motivation and confidence and decisiveness and, get up and go. And if testosterone levels go down, men and women, by the way, but men feel just more tired, kind of more flat and unmotivated, and could even feel depressed or anxious. And again, if you walk into your doctor's office to say, I'm just not really feeling myself, I've lost my drive, and I just kind of feel a little blah, you're going to be handed a prescription for an antidepressant. But if the real problem is that your testosterone is low, that antidepressant isn't going to fix the problem. And that belly and that stress may have been part of the cause for why the testosterone level is down. And so all of these pieces of the puzzle fit together. And if we only just helped you manage stress, that would be helpful. And if we only just helped you lose weight, that would be helpful. But if we can do things in a more comprehensive way, we can get a lot farther. But I do think that it's important to talk about stress for men, because as women, we're very supportive of each other and, we like to talk. And men tend to do things a little bit more maybe on their own, tough through it, don't like to admit if they're struggling sometimes. But managing stress in a healthy way is really important for all of us, whether that's taking a few minutes to do some deep breathing exercises, going out for a walk, feeling gratitude. That's a great way to help diffuse stress. Is if you're feeling stressed, overwhelmed, it's really kind of getting to you, if you'll stop and think of 3 things that you're grateful for, that really changes the chemistry inside your body. It helps to reset those stress chemicals, and it can really do a lot to help protect you from the negative impacts of that chronic stress. It's simple, it's free, it only takes a few moments. Anybody can do it. You don't have to train for it. A marathon is hard. Thinking of 3 things you're grateful for is easy.
Breathing and gratitude, all free things to stop for a moment and just take time. The other thing I want to talk about is hormones, men and women. When you talk about hormone replacement, it's not just for sex. It's not just for you and your partner. This is truly a balance of just feeling better. So when people say, oh, I've got no libido, you might have no libido, but you might just also feel really yuck. You might just have no energy. You might cry all the time. Men might just get angry or quiet, but it could be as simple as a hormone imbalance. The extra sex drive might be great, but as overall, you could just feel better.
Yeah, if you think of, I believe that we all have a purpose in this world, right? We're here to do something. We want to be there for our families. We want to, excel in our careers. We want to, leave the place a better place if we can in some way. And if you're not showing up as the best version of yourself, then you're really limited in how well you can care for your family and excel at the things that you're trying to do, whether that's, bake cookies for the bake sale at your church or, whatever it is that you're motivated to do. If you want to play golf, in your senior years. So hormones play such widespread roles in our body. And that word hormones kind of has almost a negative connotation, like as though hormones are something bad. And a lot of women in particular are afraid of hormones because they think it's going to cause breast cancer. But there's so much more to the story here. The hormones make such a big difference in our quality of life, in our risk for future diseases, whether we turn out to be these frail little old ladies and men that, barely have the strength to stand up out of the chair, or whether we're bustling around baking cookies for our great grandchildren and out hitting the golf balls. So Hormones really play a tremendous role in our overall life. They're not something to be afraid of. They're something that are really important. They make us who we are on the inside. They help affect how we react to the world around us, how we relate to other people, and having balanced hormones, whether that means by hormone replacement therapy or by other means, I think we all deserve to have balanced hormones.
Feel more balanced.
In relationships, right? Husband and wife,
Yeah.
boyfriend,
Yeah,
girlfriend, couples.
it's so important, when men don't feel confident in their performance, when it's uncomfortable for women, when nobody really has much of a drive, the intimacy kind of goes away. And sometimes, if the intimacy goes away evenly for both, I suppose, you don't really care as much. But intimacy is so important. It's the glue that keeps relationships together. And so when intimacy is lost, sometimes that really plays a big role in causing problems with relationships.
And when you just feel better. But I want to ask you, Freddie, as men, there's like this whole machismo connotations. You don't talk to each other about it, right? If you sat with all the guys I know that come into our studio, you all wouldn't sit and talk about the things Jordan and I would go in the corner and talk about. And she and I would talk about it, no problem. We're with Dr. Matthew. You and Steve-O and your guys, you would laugh, you would joke around.
Younger men, no. Older men,
What are you considered?
older men.
Okay.
Younger guys, like the guys in the studio, the younger kids and the 20-year-olds, even 30, they won't talk about this because they feel that they don't have to. They feel that they're invincible. As you get older and closer in age, your 40s and 50s, you begin to ask, you begin to make comments and not ask questions. When you get into late 50s, then you begin to sort of say, is this going on? That, but it's not a subject matter that a guy will talk to another guy about.
That's what I'm saying. You
Won't happen.
don't. So what do men do? I don't even see men going to the doctor and saying, check my hormone levels. You may go to the urologist. They may do an overall exam. They do their thing. If you're intimate, they may say, all right, you know what? I need some help in that performance area, but not the...
It's your significant other that's going to be your shrink, your doctor, and tell you what the problem
I'll
is.
light a candle for that person.
Well,
No,
but
really.
that's what it is,
But
because-
then you're in it together.
Well, what's going to happen is there's a change psychologically of what's going on, and it could be even your son. It could be a family member says, something's going on. What's happening? Because people change, and sometimes the burden of that change is very noticeable. People at work, co-workers. It depends. It depends on who is going to come up to you and say, yes, and is everything all right? And then it's up to you whether or not you want to. And I'm going to tell you, most guys ain't going to do it. They're just not going to. They just don't think that they are confident enough to say, I have a problem, I need some help.
Are both copies of your book available online, the men and the women's book?
The men's book is available on Amazon.
On Amazon.
And there's information on our website, signaturewellness.org.
It's so amazing everything you offer. Now, the bummer part of this is you're in North Carolina, so you're not licensed to help us in that arena in Florida. However, we're going to try and open up the platform on a generic scope of exercise, of talking about fish oil, of talking about better supplements, and educating and taking the stigma away of find the doctor and how to find somebody really great in your area.
Yeah. People have to know that there's hope, because if you don't really know that there's hope for anything better, then you just accept what you got. And I don't think that's fair. I believe that living well is the best medicine.
And I'm going to lay something on you. There is more problems for men than for women, but it's more talked about among women than among men. I can tell you that for a fact. And guys will not talk about this, and they'll make it sound like they're super duper. Women are more emotional, and it's the stigma. Oh, she's hormonal.
Hormonial. He even changed the
Hormonials.
word. He's
That's
even
right.
changed the word, Dr.
We
Matthew.
change it all, but it's the hormonials because as you get
Now it's
older,
plural, yes.
but as you get older, women become more vocal, and then they let
do.
you know what's going on. So a guy needs to defend himself. So he says, "It's the hummus. It's the hummus."
Making me choke on my coffee. Dr. Matthew, what is your website?
Signaturewellness.org.
It has been such a pleasure. I can't believe the half hour's up already. So much more to come with Dr. Deborah Matthew. Check out both her books. You can find them on Amazon. and you can download the women's book free on signaturewellness.org. You can always reach us here at the radio station, 888-565-1470. Thank you so much for joining us. More to come. Take the stigma away and just feel like your ultimate self. Have a great night, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
This has been Tell Us Your Business, where a special guest comes on every week and tells us what they do. All shows can be seen on amp2.tv, and if you wish to be a guest, call 866-224-5422 and tell us about your business. That's 866-224-5422. This has been an AMP